Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Virtual game of Nightmare Lord. The Nightmare Lord plans to use all the creatures on the planet as nourishment for his dreams. But the protagonist told him that virtual games are more promising. Previously, humans were afraid to avoid the dream world, and now, a player is screaming when the nightmare world will be updated, and their big knives are already starving. As more and more players entered this virtual world, one player suddenly realized that items from the nightmare world could be obtained from the real world, created game worlds. Monster Hunter World, Horizon, Souls of Darkness, Bloodborne Curse, Simulation Business Comprehensive. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 001 Nightmare Lord. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dreams, from a scientific perspective, are an activity of the brain that involves sleep. Almost everyone dreams. Everyone's dreaming situation is somewhat different. Some people dream every few days, some only dream once for a long time. Similarly, when a dream wakes up, humans will quickly forget the dreams they once had. But Zhang Xingyu is different. He dreams every night and remembers every dream clearly. Moreover, he feels that in his dream, something seems to be calling out to him that is a very gentle female voice. Recently, Zhang Xingyu's dream has changed again. In the past, dreams were all related to reality, such as the things that appeared in dreams, which could be found in the real world. However, now everything in dreams is so unfamiliar. A deep and eerie forest, filled with plants and animals that have never been seen before. Not only that, there is also a connection between dreams. He had a continuous dream. In this dream forest, the voice calling out to him grew louder and louder. Zhang Xingyu began to search for the source of the call in his dream. He felt that his dream would be so different from others, perhaps because of this call. However, finding the source of the call is not so easy, and it can even be said to be very dangerous. It seems that the entire forest is preventing Zhang Xingyu from finding the mysterious caller. Including those eerie animals and plants, all attacking Zhang Xingyu. Zhang Xingyu died several times. However, multiple deaths also gave Zhang Xingyu the experience to deal with it. In the end, he found a huge, castle-like house in the forest. The castle is also filled with danger, even more terrifying than the forest, with various deadly traps and mechanisms, beautiful but dangerous props. For example, Zhang Xingyu saw a delicate doll the size of a human in a room, very beautiful, more beautiful than any woman Zhang Xingyu could see in reality, just like a real human. However, when Zhang Xingyu walked in and wanted to observe carefully, the doll suddenly opened its eyes. They were a pair of blood-red eyes, and blood was flowing out of them. The doll twisted its body, making a terrifying sound, and stood up. Zhang Xingyu has died many times again. As the saying goes, failure is the mother of success. In the end, Zhang Xingyu found the right path inside this huge castle. He found a hidden door in a wall and arrived at the underground of the castle, which was a huge maze. I don't know how many consecutive dreams it was, nor how many times I have died. In the end, Zhang Xingyu still found the creature that had been calling out to him all along. Welcome to the nightmare realm, humanity. I am the Lord of Nightmares. What appeared in front of Zhang Xingyu was a huge life form with an indescribable shape. Its body seemed not to be a physical entity, but was composed of a black mist. Zhang Xingyu couldn't find his legs and hands, but instead saw a very sharp crescent-shaped object, which seemed to be the eyes and mouth of this huge life. If it were Zhang Xingyu from before, she would definitely be startled to see such a strange thing at once, but after experiencing the previous hardships, Zhang Xingyu appeared very calm. Are you calling me? The Lord of Nightmares? Zhang Xingyu asked. The Nightmare Lord seemed surprised by Zhang Xingyu's calmness. A black mist twisted around his body and he let out a strange laugh, then said, "Yes, I know you have many questions, but time is running out. Is there not much time left? Yes, so become a part of the nightmare. After speaking, the Nightmare Lord rushed towards Zhang Xingyu. Zhang Xingyu instinctively wanted to avoid, but an unknown force imprisoned him. He could not move and could only watch helplessly as the Nightmare Lord's massive body rushed towards him. The black mist enveloped Zhang Xingyu, seemingly eroding herself. Zhang Xingyu saw that her body was gradually melting. There is no pain, no other feelings, just the feeling that one's consciousness is gradually disappearing, as if going into a long sleep will it die. In this dream, Zhang Xingyu had already died several times, but this time, Zhang Xingyu felt that she might really die as the Nightmare Lord ate Zhang Xingyu. The entire dream also began to collapse, and everything visible to the naked eye around it was splitting and dissipating. In the end, the entire dream disappeared and turned into a pitch-black void. Zhang Xingyu's hands and legs have also disappeared, and her body is gradually dissipating, soon reaching her head. At this moment, in the empty space, a crack suddenly appeared, emitting a strange light, like broken glass, with more and more cracks. Is this? No. There were more and more cracks, and a very huge crack appeared on the Nightmare Lord. The crack seemed to have a huge suction force, constantly sucking in the dark mist of the Nightmare Lord. Although the Nightmare Lord struggled to escape, he was ultimately sucked in completely. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 002. Nightmare Power. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I don't know how long it took, but Zhang Xingyu finally woke up. It seems like I had a long dream. What is it? I can't remember. Zhang Xingyu murmured. You finally woke up, human. At this moment, a voice came over, startling Zhang Xingyu. Who? Zhang Xingyu looked around and found himself in a very small space, surrounded by curtains on all sides, with only a square space of about 2 by 2 meters. Don't look, I'm inside your body. The voice came again, as if it came directly from your mind. Zhang Xingyu was somewhat familiar with this voice. After thinking for a while, he suddenly realized and said, the Lord of Nightmares. Not bad, it's also your master. The voice of the Nightmare Lord still had an inexplicable pressure as always. Hey! After a while, through a conversation with the Nightmare Lord, Zhang Xingyu finally understood the basic situation. That is to say, you, who are weak, encountered a situation similar to the chaos of time and space while devouring me. When fighting against the chaos of time and space, you suffered a heavy blow again. You had no choice but to choose to rely on my soul to exist, and we became symbiotic spirits. Then, you wanted to devour the dream power of other humans in the nightmare world again to restore your power, but it no longer had the power to activate itself and needed me to activate it. Zhang Xingyu asked. That's probably it. Zhang Xingyu remained silent for a while before saying, in this situation, shouldn't you call me the master? Ah! Foolish human, who are you talking to? You are the Lord of Nightmares, the great Lord of Nightmares, pay attention to your words. I am your master, said the Lord of Nightmares angrily. However, from the situation just now, it seems like you can't do anything without me. Without me, you would have died long ago, foolish human. Thank you to the Lord of Nightmare for his mercy. If I die, it means you're also dead. Do you want to die? The Nightmare Lord threatened. Do you want to die? Zhang Xingyu threatened. Painful torment, the Nightmare Lord shouted angrily. Ah ah ah. It hurts so much. Suddenly, Zhang Xingyu felt intense pain coming from the depths of her soul and couldn't help but scream out in agony. Roar, roar, pain, the Nightmare Lord also let out a painful scream. Stop and stop. Let's stop self-abuse first. Agree, this is meaningless. Zhang Xingyu, who had suffered the same pain, temporarily reached a ceasefire agreement with the Nightmare Lord. Zhang Xingyu referred to the other side as Nightmare Lord, while the Nightmare Lord referred to Zhang Xingyu as kid. Well, the Nightmare Lord seems to have a bit of high self-esteem. To prevent meaningless pain, let's call it this first. After all, the two of them have more important things to do. Both of them were not in good condition. The body of the Nightmare Lord disappeared, almost dissipating his soul. Although he was attached to Zhang Xingyu's soul, he lost most of his strength. At present, Zhang Xingyu appears in the real world as a spiritual body, but unfortunately, the spiritual power in this world is scarce and it is almost impossible to maintain this spiritual body. Once the spiritual body dissipates, only the soul remains, and the two will soon truly die. The simplest way is to create a nightmare world as soon as possible, pulling food, that is, humans, or other intelligent life forms into the nightmare world. Non-intelligent life forms such as plants, animals, etc. can also be obtained, but the food available is very limited. The Nightmare Master can use various emotional changes of the organism to become food, enhancing his own strength. However, due to the Nightmare Lord's attachment to Zhang Xingyu's soul, he is currently unable to use the power of nightmare. Because of my existence, you can quickly understand and use the power of nightmares. The quickest way is to directly pull humans into the power of nightmares and torture them to death. The food that endless pain turns into is very delicious and exquisite, said the Nightmare Lord nostalgically, as he seemed to do this often. Is it so terrifying? By the way, you still know how to eat. By the way, what side effects does it have for humans who are dragged into a nightmare realm? Zhang Xingyu asked. Side effects. The Nightmare Lord paused for a moment, then thought for a moment and said, well, if he dies too many times in the nightmare realm, he himself will also die. The nightmare realm is a very special space, just like the boundary between the real world and the soul world, with very unique properties. When a person dies in the nightmare realm, their soul will suffer certain damage according to the situation at the time of death. The more painful the death, the greater the damage, and ultimately the irreparable damage to the soul. However, in this case, the quality of the food we obtain will also be better. Didn't you say that food can be obtained through emotional changes? It's not necessarily pain, right? Zhang Xingyu said in a cold sweat. Stupid, it's just the death of a few ants, and this method is the fastest. I'm back. At this moment, a crisp female voice came from not far away. Who is that? Zhang Xingyu asked. Grain number 1. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 003 Monster Hunter. World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Da-da-da-da, the sound of footsteps came from far to near, followed by the sound of opening the door. Due to being blocked by thick curtains, Zhang Xingyu couldn't see the situation outside, but upon hearing the sound, it seemed like a woman had arrived in her room. Mr. Ghost, I also paid my respects to you today. I hope you rest well. Don't come out in the middle of the night to scare me. Zhang Xingyu heard the voice of a young girl, very close, on the other side of the curtain. Wow. It's another boring day. Sigh, why am I so unlucky to be assigned to this kind of room, and I'm the only one who can see it? Forget it, let's take a look at the comics I didn't finish reading yesterday. There was another voice coming from there, and she seemed to pounce on the bed and read the comics. From the sound of humming a tune at the back, it seemed that the comics were very attractive to her. In your human words, there is a female about 13 or 14 years old on the other side, said the Nightmare Lord. In human terms, it should be Xiao Luo. No, it's a woman. Zhang Xingyu rose, as if he had thought of something, and asked, yes, she just said that only she could see it was. Both of them were having a conversation in their minds, and the little lowly across from them couldn't hear it. Ordinary humans cannot see our spiritual body, and this grain one is somewhat special. There is a huge spiritual power sleeping inside her, which is the guarantee for us to restore our strength, said the Nightmare Lord. What a human like this with spiritual power inside. So far, I have found one of her. Are there many people around here? There are many. Humans of her age, all of whom are delicious food, but of course, none of them can compare to this grain, said the Nightmare Lord. Many people of her age, perhaps this is a school. Alright, don't talk so much nonsense. Since grain number 1 has returned, let's start creating a nightmare realm and enjoying delicious food tonight. With such a huge spiritual power, I believe it can restore a lot of strength. Half a month later. Finally completed. Zhang Xingyu finally breathed a sigh of relief as he looked at the completed nightmare realm. But soon, the roar of the Nightmare Lord came to my mind. You better expect your plan to be effective. Otherwise, be careful of my painful torment. Don't forget that you will also suffer from pain and torment. Zhang Xingyu said calmly. In the past half-month, Zhang Xingyu naturally did not implement the Nightmare Lord's plan to enjoy Grain 1 and quickly restore his strength, but instead, he was executing another great plan. The two are creating a nightmare realm. The name of this nightmare realm is Monster Hunter World. Yes, the original world is a very famous game for hunting monsters. Since hearing the Nightmare Lord express that he uses emotions to transform into food, natural emotions such as excitement, happiness, curiosity, and so on can also be used as food. This reminded Zhang Xingyu of something. Virtual games. Although Zhang Xingyu would not doubt the Nightmare Lord's statement that the power of endless pain is the quickest and most effective, after all, this is the Nightmare Lord's own experience. However, as a human, killing a large number of humans for no reason to gain power is something Zhang Xingyu cannot accept. The Nightmare Lord is very eager to restore his own strength, even willing to inflict a painful torment on himself. Zhang Xingyu naturally didn't want to suffer this crime. Although he wouldn't die, the pain so, Zhang Xingyu proposed the idea of using the power of dreams to create virtual games, and stated that with this plan, although the power obtained in the early stage is much less than that of the Nightmare Lord's plan, once entering the orbit, the power obtained is extremely amazing and can be harvested sustainably. You should know that in your own world, virtual games can sweep across the world, attracting billions of humans to participate in this game. Every day, a large number of humans forget to eat and sleep, and even some crazy humans spend more than a month soaking in virtual internet cafes, and in the end, they almost die and have to play games. Okay, virtual games are just bragging. Virtual technology has not yet been developed, but even computer games have attracted countless humans. Once virtual technology is developed, Zhang Xingyu believes that the situation may be even more exaggerated than what he just said. Compared to the terrifying dream of the Nightmare Lord, which only takes a few days to die, creating a safe virtual dream game is undoubtedly much safer. Even without the Nightmare Lord actively pulling people, there are people who urgently want to come in. Not to mention, currently the two of them are not very familiar with the situation in this world. If too many people die, it will attract investigations from relevant departments. If there are any strange individuals among them, then with the current fragile situation of the Nightmare Lord, it is likely that they will have a cup of tea. So, Zhang Xingyu launched a deceitful strategy, while the master of the nightmare was half believing and half skeptical. Due to the dominance on Zhang Xingyu's side, the ultimate Nightmare Lord could only agree to Zhang Xingyu's plan. However, this process is not too smooth because the setting of this virtual world is very different from the dreams created by the Nightmare Lord in the past. If it was the Nightmare Lord in his heyday, it would naturally be easy to handle, but now anyway, after more than a month of exhausting the Nightmare Lord, the dream world of Monster Hunter World has finally been created. Of course, now we have only completed the map setting of the ancient tree forest. Once the dream world is settled, it is natural for people to enter and play. As for the players, it's you, the food that burns incense and worships Buddha for me every day. No, it's little lowly. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 004. First Test Players. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Amitabha Buddha, God bless. Today, Mr. Ghost, please rest well and return to where you should go. Otelia Shelley is a third-year student in the middle section of the St. Dance Academy. The boring student life is no different from usual, but Otelia Shelley has her own unique way of passing the time. She likes comics, animations, and games. To put it simply, she is a otaku. However, not long ago, something completely changed Otelia's life. She has a ghost. And, it's still in her room, which is not the scariest thing. The scariest thing is, this ghost is stuck in her room and won't leave. It was a quiet night, and Otelia suddenly felt a bit cold. She got up to go to the bathroom, and then, under the moonlight, she saw a transparent, floating figure in the air. Otelia fainted directly. Wake up the next day. Huh. Why am I lying on the floor? Huh, it seems like I ran into a ghost last night. It must be an illusion. How could there really be such a thing these days? Otelia looked up and then she saw the ghost floating in the air again. Ah. Otelia naturally didn't want to live in the haunted house, but strangely, no matter what teacher came to inspect her haunted house, she didn't see the ghost that Otelia saw. Right in front of you, that's it. No matter how Otelia said, the others just said they didn't see it. It seems that this ghost can only be seen by oneself. The teacher felt that Otelia had hallucinations, but also suggested that she could switch dormitories. However, due to the tight availability of beds in the dormitories, high-end residential areas like this are no longer available. If she wants to go, she can only go to a group dormitory with 4 people in one room. Otelia didn't want to go to that kind of dormitory, so after thinking for a few days, she decided to stay in this haunted room. Of course, Aurelia was still a bit afraid of the ghost, but she noticed that the ghost didn't speak or move, let alone make a fuss. There were no strange supernatural events happening in the room, and her life was still the same of course. Waking up in the middle of the night and seeing a semi-transparent ghost is still a bit scary, especially since this ghost can't see its face clearly, so Otelia bought something and surrounded the place where the ghost was staying with curtains, and she would bow down every day. Because only she could see this ghost, Otelia once suspected that she had really hallucinated and almost wanted to see a psychologist. Later, she caught a wild cat and placed it in her room next to the curtains. Then, the little cat's fur stood up and its paws lit up. After meowing incessantly, it ran away. It doesn't seem like my own illusion. Unfortunately, Otelia did not find anyone else who could see the ghost. Human habits can be scary at times, just like Otelia. After a while, Otelia has completely become accustomed to the ghostly area in her room. Perhaps due to her limited friends, sometimes she even chats with ghosts. Most of the time, she shares interesting stories she sees in anime, and rarely complains. Zhang Xingyu once heard about Otelia's issue with her breasts today. After finishing her homework that had been saved up for 2 days, Otelia suddenly felt a bit tired and lay down in bed. Otelia did not notice that the ghost that had been locked in the curtains had quietly arrived by her side and placed one hand on Otelia's forehead. Give her a nightmare imprint, so she won't have to be so troublesome every time. As long as she falls asleep, she will automatically enter the nightmare realm. If your power is strong enough, you can even pull her to the nightmare realm when she is awake. Zhang Xingyu's voice rang out in her mind. Zhang Xingyu breathed a sigh of relief and then tapped Otelia's forehead with his finger. Suddenly, a wonderful rune emitting a strange purple light appeared at Zhang Xingyu's fingertips and then disappeared into Otelia's head. So, I'll also go to Nightmare's land to see how this little loli performs. After speaking, Zhang Xingyu unleashed the power of nightmares and arrived at his own creative nightmare realm. Monster Hunter. World. Where am I? Otelia opened her eyes and found herself in a strange place surrounded by endless mist. At this moment, an unusually strange and mechanical sound came from all directions. This is the nightmare world here. You will experience an unprecedented experience. Fear, struggle, nightmares will eventually become reality, accompanied by a terrifying laugh. The voice gradually faded away. Ha! Ha! Nightmare world. The eerie world, coupled with the terrifying sound, clearly frightened little Loli. Seeing little Loli's face turn pale with fear, Zhang Xingyu, who was observing, sighed. Originally, he was planning a friendly welcome, such as for players who had just entered the nightmare realm, asking a very beautiful female elf to greet and guide them, and saying something like, "Welcome to the virtual game world, wish you a pleasant time." Take a look at this scene now. It's completely a matter of strength persuading players to quit. Look at how scared this little Loli is. However, the Nightmare Lord stated that he needs a B grid. What? Make a beautiful little elf and have a good time playing. This is the nightmare realm of fear. I am the master of nightmares. The master of nightmares that makes people afraid. Do you want to have another torment of pain? This is also to attract more players to play. This is not a game, it's a nightmare. Painful torment. Ah ah ah. The painful souls of the two screamed in agony. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 005. Character Images. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Nightmare Lord, in order to make himself stand out, turned the scene that Zhang Xingyu had originally envisioned as a beautiful little fairy sister guiding players into the opening line of a nightmare world, and it was also the Nightmare Lord who performed it himself. Well, these few words were spoken by the Nightmare Lord himself. He said that anyone who hears his words will feel a huge sense of fear, and this emotional change can also harvest a wave of food. The words of the Nightmare Lord do indeed have a great sense of oppression and fear, but Zhang Xingyu processed the Nightmare Lord's voice, removing all the terrifying feelings and retaining only mystery and strangeness, and this atmosphere also deserves those opening lines. Zhang Xingyu said that if the great Nightmare Lord really appears, it must be a shocking and terrifying event. Arranging a super grand plot to make the Nightmare Lord appear and scare away a bunch of players is the only way to meet the power of the Nightmare Lord. After a round of flattery, the Nightmare Lord agreed to remove the terrifying elements from the words. Because of this, upon hearing this opening statement, although Otelia, the little Loli, was also somewhat frightened, there was no strong fear. The Nightmare Lord can use a wave of strength to dissuade players, so Zhang Xingyu can use a wave of strength to retain players. After the somewhat frightening words were over, immediately, Otelia felt the mist around her dissipate a bit, and a mirror appeared in front of her, inside which, of course, Otelia herself looked. Please customize player character image. In the middle of Otelia's line of sight, these shining large characters appeared, and then they shrank and moved to the top of her line of sight. At the same time, on the far left of her line of sight, options such as face shape, skin, hair, makeup appeared. Ha! This interface. So familiar. The character settings of a certain game. As a seasoned gaming enthusiast, Otelia is naturally very familiar with the scene in front of her. Isn't this the face-pinching interface that many games encounter? So, I'm playing games now. Because of this familiar scene, Otelia's fear disappeared for the most part in an instant. She scratched her head in confusion and murmured, "But when did I start playing games? I remember, I used to feel like I was asleep. Well, this is indeed a dream. Have you been playing games too much lately? And even dreams have begun to develop towards gamification. Dreams are an extension of reality, and Otelia feels that she may have been playing too many games lately. Yes, this must be a dream. How could there be such a completely virtualized game in reality? This is my own dream. Since it's my own dream, let's have a good time playing in it. Curious and strange, in my dream, I can still clearly know that I'm dreaming." As she spoke, Otelia adjusted and set her own image. Ha! These words seem not to be in the air, but directly appear in her own retina. During the process of trying to set up character images, Otelia found that regardless of any changes in her gaze, these options were always in a fixed position where she saw the picture. Moreover, touching these words would emit a soft glow, and she could even drag and drop them with her hand. For example, Otelia dragged the words, "Please customize player character image," to the bottom of her line of sight, but when she released her hand, these words immediately flew back to their original positions. It's so interesting. But can't we customize the interface? On the other hand, Zhang Xingyu and the Nightmare Lord were also observing little Loli. The difference was that Zhang Xingyu had a delicious look, while the Nightmare Lord looked very boring. I'm definitely a seasoned player. I started researching interfaces, but I can customize them in the future, murmured Zhang Xingyu. He himself is also a gamer, and the first thing he does when opening the game is to open the settings interface. First, adjust the clarity of the screen, subtitles, and button settings. Emotional fluctuations are minimal, and the amount of food that can be harvested can be ignored. At this point, if a saw were to directly cut open the little girl's body bit by bit, the food that could be produced, murmured the Nightmare Lord. Hey. Don't talk about such a terrifying execution scene, and this is just the beginning, the key is the future. Zhang Xingyu couldn't help but burst into a cold sweat upon hearing the Nightmare Lord's words. Little Lolita finally started her character image, and then she realized something very bad. What is this? You can't adjust your face shape, height, obesity, or anything like that. What a terrible game. If you can't adjust it, don't let out any options. Let me see. Hey. If you want to deeply customize your character image, please obtain specialized props in the game. Wow. Do you even need props to adjust the entire image? My black, long, tall and beautiful woman. Otelia kept poking those options with her hand, looking very angry. This is the nightmare world, and players who naturally enter the nightmare world have their own image. Playing with their own image has a deeper meaning, so Zhang Xingyu does not want players to make deep character adjustments. Of course, there are many things that can be adjusted at present, such as hair, hairstyle, and color that can be changed freely, as well as makeup in various places. Zhang Xingyu is not very familiar with women's makeup, but has only made some options based on memory. Hey! Are there only a few places where makeup can be done? Little Loli seemed to be quite attentive to her image, choosing while complaining about the simple interface adjustment option. In the end, the character image of Otelia was revealed. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 006. Entering the Monster Hunter World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Otelia looked at her adjusted self and nodded in satisfaction. A head of golden hair draped over the shoulders like a waterfall. When the breeze blew, it gently brushed and fluttered, like a fairy, adding a lively beauty to the originally petite and lovely imagination. The girl's big eyes were full of spiritual energy, as if all the spiritual energy in the world had converged into them. They were exceptionally beautiful and attracted attention like sparkling gemstones. At least Zhang Xingyu stared at little Loli's eyes for a while. A reaction of spiritual power within the body, which is why one can have this kind of gaze, explained the Nightmare Lord. Although there are relatively few options to choose from, Otelia has made use of them, such as applying makeup to the corners of her eyes and lips. Of course, the most obvious one is a cute red graffiti mark on her forehead, adding a touch of mystery to little Loli's cute image. Cuckoo. It's me, no matter how I dress up, it's cute, little Loli said in the mirror, unable to tell that she still has some narcissism. However, immediately, Xiaoyulai frowned and dragged her chest. It was a very nostalgic airport. Woo! Why can't my figure be adjusted? Are you sure about the image? Otelia clicked OK. After Otelia confirmed, the fog around her decreased a bit. She saw a road behind the mirror, about 20 meters long, and in the lens of the road, there was an open door. This is what allowed me to enter this door. Otelia murmured, looking around. Except for the newly emerged light gate, everything else was shrouded in mist. As a seasoned gamer, Otelia has a strong impulse to explore the mist first. If she were playing games in front of the computer now, she would have done so. However, now it's Otelia herself. Although it's a dream, she's a bit afraid to enter the mist alone, so in the end, Otelia gave up the idea of exploring the unknown mist and walked towards the door of light. What appeared in front of Otelia was a fluttering flag, and a male voice came through. So. Friends of the 5th investigation team, it's almost time. If you say goodbye, it's okay. As long as you board this ship, you can't turn back. If you have lost consciousness, I advise you to turn back here. So, start sailing towards the new continent now. May the blue stars guiding the way twinkle for you. With the final excited voice of the man, Otelia seemed to vaguely see that many people had also followed through the light gate. The picture gradually blurred, and when it became clear again, Otelia saw a wine glass. Then, the glass was picked up and a young man wearing armor gulped down the wine. Ah, finally awake, finally awake. The young man seemed to notice that Otelia was awake. He laughed and said, if you can't drink, don't drink. Just pour a glass. Wine. Otelia looked at herself and found herself holding an empty wine glass in her right hand. Where is? Here. Otelia asked. Hello, hello. May I have drunk too much and lost my mind? This is an expedition ship, we are about to arrive in the new world, the man said. Hey. New world. It seems like in the previous animation. Otelia murmured. Ah, the man said in confusion. Don't be surprised, she's an adventurer. At this moment, the woman sitting next to the man, who had been reading a book, put down the book and said. I see. You are the legendary adventurers. No wonder I'm still wondering why even people as young as you can board this ship. After hearing this, the man suddenly realized and looked at Otelia several times, as if it was his first time seeing an adventurer. Hey. Adventurer. Otelia listened for a moment. It seems you're really drunk. Hey, the man across from him laughed and started drinking again. The so-called adventurers are the terms used by Zhang Xingyu to refer to the player community, which is different from the indigenous people in the nightmare world. In the nightmare world, almost all indigenous people have a certain degree of understanding, setting, of these adventurers. Otelia looked around and it seemed like a small tavern with many people gathered together to discuss something, some drinking, some polishing their weapons, and some reading. It was very lively. Otelia seems out of place here, she doesn't know what to do. This terrible game doesn't even have a main quest. Otelia checked again and couldn't help but say. Do you think there will be a secret of the ancient dragon in the new world? After drinking, the young armored man asked the woman on the side. Since the first investigation, the Union has dispatched our 5th investigation team, which seems very optimistic about unraveling the mystery of the ancient dragon migration. Gulong. I really hope that one day, I can also hunt Gulong and become a legendary hunter. Said the man. Hunting the ancient dragon. Is this the main mission of the game? Murmured Otelia. After listening for a while, Otelia left her seat and came to a window. It's the sea. So big. Did you notice? Just now, the sound of the waves suddenly changed. I feel like we're getting closer to land. Otelia turned her head and found a young woman, Aibo, wearing yellow leather armor, smiling and talking to herself. Hello, Miss Adventurer, please. At this moment, the ship began to shake violently. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 007. Death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The ship shook violently, and things placed on the table fell off one after another. Not only that, the entire hull seemed to start tilting, and Otelia almost lost her footing and fell. The armored girl who was just chatting with Otelia immediately ran out of the boat, and Otelia quickly followed suit. Then, she saw a scene that shocked her. Rainstorm has started on the sea, and the whole sea is also choppy. Then, in front of their hull, a huge mountain suddenly rises from the sea, and the whole mountain appears red, but there are many bright red places on the mountain, and it seems to be still flowing, that is. Magma. Active volcano. Otelia stared. She had never seen such a spectacular scene before, and even did not notice the rainstorm hitting Otelia's eyes. The scene was too shocking, comparable to the explosive scene of a Hollywood blockbuster. More importantly, this scene, which happened in front of her, was a first-hand experience for Otelia. This feeling of seeing, hearing, and feeling firsthand was far incomparable to being in front of the screen. Is this really a dream? If it is, seeing this scene would not be in vain for me to have this dream. Although the situation at the scene was so critical, the spectacular scene before her had already left Otelia stunned. But why do active volcanoes come out of the sea? Otelia asked. No, it's not, said the girl with leather armor beside her, this is Gulong. Gulong. Gulong, Rongshan dragon. It's not good, the boat is about to capsize, grab it quickly and don't fall off, said the girl in leather armor. Hey! More bodies of Mollosaurus emerged from the sea, and Otelia wanted to see the full picture of Mollosaurus. However, Mollosaurus was so huge that it was impossible to see its full picture. The volcano that emerged from the sea was already high enough, but it seemed that there was still a larger body beneath the sea. The ship was almost overturned by the molten dragon, and the people wearing it were all searching for something to grab. In a hurry, Otelia also caught one. However, when the ship was about 90 degrees, Otelia was unable to catch it and fell directly into the sea. Gulu gulu. Otelia sank into the sea. It's so uncomfortable. Can't breathe. Dying. Otelia's gaze gradually blurred. Subsequently, the entire line of sight turned black, and 3 blood-red characters, still dripping with blood, appeared before Otelia's eyes. You're dead, accompanied by an unusually eerie, intense, and mocking laughter, a line of red characters appeared. You died worthless, even making me want to laugh. Do you want to try again? Yes, no, damn it, I didn't expect to drown like this. My grandiose gaming master. Started over again, this terrible game, even after such a big plot, didn't give any hints. Just say, die. And what are these laughter and words? Are they mocking? Who the hell came up with this? Otelia's angry fist kept swinging up and down. Yes. Otelia's gaze gradually shrouded in confusion, and then a familiar scene emerged. Ah, I finally woke up. If you can't drink, don't drink. Pour a glass at once. It was the very beginning scene of the game. Otelia slapped the table and stood up, startling the armored man in front of her. Hey! Why are you making such a fuss? Isn't it just that you had a glass of wine? If you can't drink it, then don't drink it. So it was you who made me drink. Although she discovered the culprit that made her drunk, Otelia's current concern is not that. Listen to me, this ship is about to capsize. Think of a way. Ha! What are you talking about? Did you drink too much and see an illusion? The man shrugged helplessly and said. No. I'm serious. Otelia said angrily. I know, the boat is about to capsize. You don't know how to swim, do you? Don't worry, I will. I will save you later, the man sighed. No. It's that. Yes, wrong. Rongshan dragon is coming out of the sea, and this ship is about to be overturned by it. Otelia said seriously. Hey! Molten mountain dragon, right? Indeed, we are tracking the migration mystery of this ancient dragon, but our route is a confirmed safe route, so you don't have to worry. Oh, by the way, if you want to learn swimming in the future, you can come to me. No. Otelia was about to go crazy. Otelia arrived at the window and saw that the sea level was already fluctuating. Oh no, the molten mountain dragon is coming soon. Is there any way to survive? Hey, I heard your call just now. Is the molten dragon coming? Just as Otelia was thinking about how to survive the attack of the molten dragon, a voice came over. Is that you? Otelia's eyes lit up, and it was the yellow-armored girl who had spoken to her in the previous scene. Tell me, what did you dream of? Molten mountain dragon. I haven't seen it before. I heard it's a very huge ancient dragon with an active volcano on its back, and it can even erupt, said the girl in the armor. I didn't dream, it's true. Soon, the molten mountain dragon will. At this moment, the ship's hull began to move violently. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 008. Breaking the Game. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Otelia fell into the sea again and drowned. You're dead, you're trying something, but it's pointless. You died tragically, making me want to laugh. Accompanied by a line of mocking words and strange laughter, Otelia felt her anger soaring and began cursing the game producer a few times before thinking. First of all, aside from the extremely unpleasant mockery laughter and text, as well as the extremely rudimentary pit dad system that doesn't even have mainline mission prompts, this game is definitely a masterpiece. Everything that Otelia could see with her naked eye was so real, and the things and people inside the ship were as real as ever. The feeling of the storm hitting her couldn't see the oppression of the entire giant dragon, a feeling that Otelia had never felt before. Nervousness, excitement, excitement. Everyone has it. Is this a dream? Or virtual games? Otelia asked, if it's a dream, why is it so like a game? Is it really because she played too many games, which affected her dreams? The possibility of dreams seems very low. Virtual games. However, have you ever played virtual games yourself, and is it something that only appears in this type of free animation movie, fully immersing yourself in the game? Otelia looked back at the world she knew, and it seemed that the virtual technology of her own world was still stuck in the era of rudimentary VR helmets. Yes, that damn bulky helmet, which used visual differences to display 3D effects, not only had mediocre effects, but it was also a useless thing that could easily cause dizziness after playing too much. Compared to the current completely virtual way, it's simply the difference between a bicycle and a spaceship. The difference is too big. Otelia didn't feel that her world could suddenly develop this technology. Is it really oneself dreaming? Pa, it hurts so much. Who came up with the method of waking up from a dream? It's not really good to use, is it? With a slap, her face was swollen, and Otelia cried in tears. However, as a gaming enthusiast, since you have entered this game, you should seize the time to play. Maybe, when you wake up from your dream, you will never have the opportunity to experience it again. What needs to be considered now is how to survive the attack of the molten dragon. It took about 10 minutes for my awakening to the molten dragon attacking the ship, and during this time, what can be done? Escape. That's the sea, there's no way to escape, we can only think of other ways. Otelia murmured, remembering the difference between the first game and the second game. It's amazing how NPCs can react differently based on their own reactions. If there were such a game in the real world, it would definitely be 3A level, not right, it could be a 4A level masterpiece. The first time, Otelia was clearly in a daze and didn't know what to do. Although she received some news, the molten mountain dragon attacked and Otelia fell directly and drowned. In the second game, Otelia tried to tell others that the ship would be attacked, but clearly no one believed it. I woke up from a drunken state and saying that kind of thing would indeed be taken as saying it when I was drunk. It's normal for no one to believe me, and I'm just an unknown player. Listening to them, it seems like an adventurer. It seems different from ordinary people. Anyway, the possibility of trying to alert the crew and escape from the attack route of the molten mountain dragon is unlikely. Otelia recalled her 2 gaming experiences. From the current situation, it is certain that a molten dragon attacking a ship and causing it to capsize will happen. The only way seems to be to find a way to survive on your own. Is this garbage game so difficult to start with? Not only are you not giving a single weapon, but you don't give any game prompts and just hang up, okay? Will anyone really play this garbage game in the future? Producer, come out. Although Otelia was angry, it was just an angry remark. With the world's first fully virtual game and the sense of being in a different world, Otelia believed that even if she was abused into a dog or died into a dog, someone would continue to play as usual. Yes, for example. Myself. Forget it. Maybe the game is still a beta version at the moment. The system is a bit rudimentary and it's normal, maybe I'll be the first one to play. Let's think about how to survive first. After the ship tilts to 90 degrees, it's too difficult to grasp, almost sure to fall, so there aren't any tools. Oh, by the way, tools. Equipment, in my impression, it seems like I have some equipment on my body. Otelia once again entered the game. I finally woke up. If you can't drink, don't drink. Pour a glass at once. It was the 3rd time she had listened, but Otelia ignored it and immediately checked her body. There is a small knife behind it. It's too small, probably only used to peel fruits. If you think you can learn from the protagonist in the movie, inserting the knife into the cliff and hanging it on it when you fall off, then it's undoubtedly seeking your own death. Quickly, Otelia checked the equipment on her left hand, which looked like a crossbow. Hand crossbow. Otelia placed it on the table and began to inspect it. Hey, is this checking the hunter's equipment? Are you eager to prepare for hunting? Hehe, let me tell you, this crossbow is a new equipment developed by the technical department. It can not only fire various things, but also catch trained pterosaurs for quick movement, said the armored man. What are you saying? Grab the pterosaur and move. Otelia lifted her head at once. That's it. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 009. Breaking Game 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upon hearing that she could use a crossbow to grab a pterosaur and move, Otelia was very excited and felt that she was not far from passing this level. This game is really hellish difficulty. No, it's the beginning of the Shura difficulty, without any hints. Coming up is a dead end, but... Otelia covered her eyes with one hand and inserted her waist with the other, laughing very proudly. Cuckoo 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 is truly me, the primordial light born from the darkness, the daughter of light and darkness. I have seen the ending of this game. Is that guy okay? The armored man couldn't help but ask as he saw Otelia falling into a state of self. She is an adventurer, and I heard there are various types of adventurers, which should be a very common one, said the reading girl. Yes, really. On the other side, seeing Otelia's appearance, Zhang Xingyu broke out in a cold sweat. He looked at the black mist on one side and asked, do you think she can break through this prologue or test level this time? After all, food is just food. She has spiritual power in her body but doesn't know how to apply it. She is just as weak as an ant and has to die many times, said the Nightmare Lord. Don't say that, as a player who has just entered the nightmare world, being able to escape this deadly situation with just 2 deaths without any prompts is already quite impressive. Moreover, for the first time creating a nightmare game, she was also our test of various bugs in this world. Bug? The Nightmare Lord asked. Well, it's just catching insects. Zhang Xingyu explained, the world where the Nightmare Lord is located is a high-level magical world, with no rise in technology or electronic games, so he is not very familiar with game terminology. It's just testing whether there are any errors in this nightmare world. How could the world I created be wrong? The Nightmare Lord snorted and said disdainfully. I know you're amazing, but we're not gods or creators. It's impossible to create a perfect world, right? Moreover, the virtual gaming world is different from the real world. The creator. Zhang Xingyu's words seemed to evoke memories of the Nightmare Lord, and it fell into contemplation. The ship once again showed a 90-degree inclination, but with the experience of the first 2 times, this time Otelia found a better position on the ship and did not fall directly. Pterosaur. Where is Pterosaur? Ah, I see it, there. Otelia looked around for a while before finally seeing Pterosaur hovering in the air. Damn it. I can't use a crossbow in this situation. But Otelia is now holding onto the ship with both hands and can't spare any time to use a crossbow. The ship is still tilting and seems to be flipping over directly. Jump down, there's land below. At this moment, the girl who was also struggling on the boat shouted to Otelia, then released her hand and jumped down. Otelia looked down and found that it was no longer the sea below, but land. Since there was NPC guidance to jump down, Otelia didn't hesitate and jumped down directly. I almost fell on all 4s, but after all, Otelia still didn't fall. So close. What's this? The ground is so hot. What the hell is going on here? Otelia looked around and saw that the area was covered in pitch black rocks, but from the cracks in the black rocks, it seemed like magma was flowing below. Moreover, there wasn't any magma falling from high places. If I get hit by that, I guess I'll just die. The ground shook again, and Otelia grabbed the ground with both hands to avoid falling. The intense excitement stopped, but it was only the beginning, because Otelia saw that the entire ground was beginning to tilt. Go over there, there's a pterosaur over there, hurry up. At this moment, the yellow-armored girl who had fallen before waved at Otelia. Otelia saw it and quickly ran towards the NPC. Great, you're okay. Have you seen anyone else? The girl in the yellow armor asked, and Otelia shook her head. I don't know how everyone is doing. Oh no, this ground. The ground began to tilt again, and the amplitude was very large. Hold on, don't fall down. The ground, which had just opened and could still walk, has now almost turned into a 90-degree wall. Fortunately, the road surface that turned into a wall is already uneven, and it is not too difficult to grasp it. We must climb up, she said, as the girl in the yellow armor began to climb up with skillful movements. Really, let me, a lady who has never climbed a wall, do this kind of thing. Love. It's really garbage. Game. Ah. Otelia began to learn the NPC's movements and climb up. For Otelia, climbing walls is very difficult, after all, it's her first time. However, there are many places to grab onto this wall, and as long as you're careful, you can do it. Plus, it's okay if you're dead. It's not a big deal to do it again, so Otelia doesn't have any psychological burden. Finally, the two climbed to the top, and Otelia knelt down on the ground and couldn't get up. Now is not the time to rest, over there, the pterosaur is about to fly away. The NPC said and ran towards the place where the pterosaur was hovering. Upon seeing this, Otelia could only run towards the pterosaur with all her might. It's almost there. There is a cliff ahead, and there is only one chance to catch a pterosaur. Without hesitation, Otelia leaped out of the cliff and turned around, aiming her crossbow at the pterosaur. Success or failure lies in this one move. At this moment, Otelia was full of confidence because she felt that her movements just now were very handsome. 3 things to do when reading. Read, collect, and reward. Chapter 010. Version Minor Update Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Finally, I can kill through this damn start. Otelia seemed to be able to see her own flying scene. Shoot. Whoosh, the claws on the crossbow flew towards the pterosaur. But the paw brushed against the edge of the pterosaur's paw, causing it to stumble. Ah-ha. Otelia seemed to pause in the air, and then, it shouldn't be like this. She fell directly from the air. Guga. Watching Otelia diving in high school, the pterosaur let out a cry, as if mocking her, and then flew away. Damn game producer, give me a memory. Gollum 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 gollum. You're dead, you died a magnificent death, looking forward to your next death performance. A familiar and eerie laughter came over. Damn it. Who wants a death performance? It's almost impossible to play this garbage game. It's too difficult to operate a crossbow in that situation. I've considered the player's anger. Damn it. This time she died feeling a bit suffocated. Otelia stomped her feet wildly. After calming down, she felt like she had been tricked by the producer again. Yes, after learning that she could ride a pterosaur with a crossbow, she became excited, but did not realize that her experience in operating a crossbow was severely lacking, so she once again made a fool of herself. Damn producer, damn death mockery. In that situation, shouldn't the crossbow shot out be sure to catch the pterosaur? Even if it's not shot accurately, the system should automatically aim for me. Damn garbage game. Although she was shouting trash games in her hands, Otelia had no intention of giving up at all. Isn't this fully realistic gameplay the charm of virtual games? Just one death. I haven't seen games like Black Soul and Only Wolf that can turn players into autistic, even smashing their computers. Otelia wanted to start over again, but found that the yes option had changed from bright red to gray. I clicked on the yes option with my hand and found a prompt below. You have reached today's maximum number of deaths and cannot continue playing. Hey. What's the situation? We're not allowed to play even after we've died too many. Otelia asked in surprise. Nightmare World is about to close. Hey, wait a minute, I still want to play. I can pass next time. I'm serious, don't close it. I still have a lot of questions. Hey, game producer, I'm asking you. Come out of here. However, no matter how much Otelia shouted, there was no response. Gradually, the fog around Otelia grew thicker and enveloped her, causing her to feel extremely sleepy and then close her eyes. How was the harvest? On the other side, Zhang Xingyu asked the Nightmare Lord. Poor and pitiful, the Nightmare Lord snorted. Even if you're poor, you can have it. In a way that you can understand, you have probably gained 140 nightmare power, said the Nightmare Lord. How much use does this 140 have? According to your gameplay style, an ordinary player can gain approximately 10 nightmare power by dying once. However, Otelia is quite unique, earning around 30 for one death and 90 for 3 deaths. With other emotional fluctuations, the total is 140. Although it's less than death, there's still half of it, it's pretty good. According to me, the pain level should be adjusted to 100%, or 200% is also acceptable. Your minimum 10% requires specific conditions to unlock, and the initial 20% pain level setting, they won't feel pain. No, 100% pain is no longer something humans can play. 200% is even more torture. Look at this little loli, if it's set to 100% pain. The feeling of drowning, she definitely wouldn't dare to play the game again. It's just a group of ants, with my Nightmare Lord around, she has to play even if she doesn't want to. The Nightmare Lord snorted and said. Alright. Anyway, let's wait until my plan is implemented before we see. Didn't we make an agreement back then? Anyway, for you who used to be, it's just a matter of the blink of an eye. Humph. By the way, how much nightmare power does it take to drag people into a nightmare world? 10. Just like an ordinary person dying once. It seems that dying multiple times is very useful for strengthening the nightmare world. Then let's limit the pain. There's no need to talk about that, Zhang Xingyu interrupted immediately, and the Nightmare Lord roared. However, Zhang Xingyu didn't hear him and said, however, based on the experience of these Otelia games, I also think we need to make a small update to the nightmare world. Although I originally wanted players to play a near-real nightmare world, it's still too difficult for ordinary people, and we need some methods to help them quickly master skills. As she spoke, Zhang Xingyu looked towards the Nightmare Lord. Is there any way for players to quickly acquire abilities? Feilu's novel, Fei Wants You to Look Good.